Not bad in a way, because I do believe that if all you rely upon is poker, poker passes you by sometimes, and there are examples of that in real life. People who used to make money playing poker, playing cash games, who now can't beat a cash game. And I don't think it's because they've gotten older. I think it's because the game has changed and they haven't changed with it. So I hate to see young guys who do well on the internet playing poker, and they don't go to school, or they quit some great, they're smart people, obviously could make great money in business. I hate to see them just completely abandon those plans, because poker will change and they may not be able to change with it. And at least for me, if I decide I don't want to play poker anymore, or I can't play poker anymore, I think I can go back and get a job. And I think it's important to have options in life.
How can you help your kids succeed in life?
Get involved in their education.
Encourage good work habits and a love for learning.
School doesn't stop when the bell rings.
Is it possible to be a successful winning part-time poker player?
Oh yeah, I think so, absolutely. I mean, I was a successful winning part-time poker player, and I think that you just have to do a better job of when you play. That's the biggest mistake I think most people make when they're playing poker and they're working, is that they go play poker sometimes to escape from their job, sometimes to escape from their wife, as opposed to it's their second job and taking it seriously like it's their second job. I used to have a checklist, I actually had a written checklist that I had to go through before I went and played. And some of it was, is everything okay at home? Are my kids in bed? Do they have homework? Do I have work that I have to do tomorrow? Do I have a big meeting tomorrow that I need to be preparing for? All those kinds of things that I tried to have a mental checklist that said, yes, I'm prepared to play, and yes, I'm prepared to win. My winning percentage was much higher when I followed that regimen, as opposed to, I'm pissed about something at work or whatever, and I'm just going to go out and play. That's really more doing it for entertainment. And if you're really trying to take it seriously, it has to be a job, and you have to do it when you're ready to play.
Now, is that part of your book?
It is part of my book.
Okay, great. Is it possible we could publish that excerpt on Life's a Bluff?
Sure,
of your
absolutely.
Checklist of things
Yeah,
to get done?
absolutely. I mean, it's not really because it's not strictly a poker book. I don't have the poker checklist. It's more of a checklist of even talking about business meetings. My book really talks about business and poker and life, and blends all the lessons together. So it's really not a poker checklist. It's more of a life checklist. Is this okay before you go into a big meeting? Is that, and so it works for business and for poker.
Right. We'll have to do a few book giveaways on the site.
Yeah.
And get
we can do that.
advertising out there. That sounds good. We're going to jump back on the random questions,
Okay,
which I
all
keep
right.
derailing.
Okay.
I promise. No more.
That's okay.
I'm probably
I don't
lying
mind.
about that. But
We're
it's all
random. We're still random.
right. Most influential in your life thinker?
Wow, most influential thinker.
We jump around a little.
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Wow, that's a. I mean, I know that it's going to be somebody that I've worked for. It's not going to be somebody in poker, because I think people in business think at a really some people really think at an extremely high level. And there's a lot more moving parts sometimes in business. I just can't put my name on, I can't put my finger on a name, but I know that I've worked for a lot of CPAs and done work with attorneys before that I've really been impressed with. I can't think of a name, but that's a great question.
It's okay. Well, you can even throw
Einstein,
one back.
I don't know.
Einstein.
Yeah, Einstein.
Oh, easy answer. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Author.
Well, this is going to be strange. I like simple things. There are two authors that I like, and one was a business author, and his name is Harvey Mackay, and he wrote Beware the Man, or Swimming with Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive, and Beware the Man Who Offers Your Shirt Off the Back, or something like that.
Yeah.
I just always liked it because his approach was very simple and very people-oriented. And I know that's not very deep, but I was really in the business and trying to, it's more of a leadership type book. So I liked him. I also, one of my favorite books was Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and It's All Small Stuff. I don't know if you ever heard that book.
I have. I've read it.
You've read it? I just liked it because it was simple, and I actually modeled my book after that book a little bit, in that they're short chapters. and I'm trying to teach a lesson in each one of the chapters, but trying to do it through interesting stories and relevant stories. And so I don't even know who the author of that book is, but it's just a book that I loved reading because it made me feel good, and I thought, wow, life is really, most of it is small stuff. So anyway, I liked that book a lot, and that author.
And just kind of tying that around, most influential businessman in your life.
Most influential businessman. I'd have to say Charlie Keating, and it's an interesting story because Charlie Keating ended up in jail.
Right.
He ended up in jail. He was the CEO of Lincoln Savings, which is one of the savings and loans that was taken down by the Federal Home Loan Bank Board and during the whole savings and loan scandal. But he did some things that I actually thought were very interesting. One is that he would get in front of a group of people, and if he screwed up, he would get in front of the employees and say, I have to apologize to you, I screwed up today, or I made a big mistake, and I promise you I've learned and I won't do it again. So he took some responsibility for his actions, but he focused more on revenue than he did on costs. And I think a lot of people do that in their life, but they do it the opposite way. They focus more on reducing their costs. They sit and look at their phone bill and, gee, can I get a cheaper phone? And can I get a this? Can I put a load controller on my house and lower my electric bill? Certainly all that stuff is important. But in my life, I've concentrated on the revenue side, which is infinite. And the cost side is finite. You can only take so much cost out of something. But if you concentrate on the revenue side, certainly you could, the sky is the limit. And so that's kind of something that I've always looked at. I mean, I certainly thought he spent way too much money and things like that. But I think when you focus on the revenue side, you have a much better chance of actually hitting a lot of home runs than you do if you're just a guy that's pinching pennies and cutting coupons and trying to save money.
Does that translate to poker?
It does translate to poker. I think that there's a lot of guys that play this tournament and that tournament, and they're really trying to scrimp and save and cut their costs, as opposed to saying, gee, this tournament or this game, there's more exposure, but there's more profit potential because there's a loose guy, but I have a little more variance, or whatever the case may be. I look at the revenue side in poker and not so much the cost side.
All right. That's great answers.
Thanks.
You were about to give up on poker right before your run at the 2007 World Series of Poker. That's what I read right before you were talking to your wife. What were you going to do if you didn't have this?
Well, it wasn't that I needed to make the money at the World Series. It was that I honestly was getting a little bored with poker. And sitting on your butt playing poker all day long it was fun for a long time, and I still enjoy it mostly. But it's not very fulfilling, from trying to make yourself feel good about what you do, employing people, or being on a team, or those kinds of things are things that have always been important to me. The other thing about poker is that poker is a win-lose sport. Business, along with other things, can be win-win. You and I can be partners in something and we can all win. Or I can have employees who are all working toward the same goal and we all win. We can all give high fives, at the end of the day. And at poker, if I'm sitting down playing you, you're going to be bummed out or I'm going to be bummed out, and you're going to be happy or I'm going to be happy, but both of us aren't going to win at the same time. And I like more of a win-win kind of a thing. And it wasn't that I was struggling at poker. It was really that I was struggling with playing poker, and that I really wanted to make a name for myself in poker. And if I didn't do it this year, then I was going to try something else in business. And quite honestly, if you think about somebody with talent, which I think a lot of these young guys have, and you think about how much money they could make in business versus how much money they could make in poker, they're really making a big mistake playing poker. And I don't know if some of them are lazy, which a lot of poker players are, or if they like the fame and that kind of thing. But there's a lot of brilliant young guys playing poker, and they might be making $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 a year. But if you think about it, if you really have a great opportunity in business, or you can run your own company, or you can do something, you can make a lot more than that. And so that's kind of where I was with my life, was thinking that what is my highest and best use is kind of a real estate term. Where do I put my time to maximize my value? And poker seemed like it was a good spot, and I did it, you know, I obviously love poker and loved it a lot more when I was younger than I do now. And it's because that's what I do for a living, and unfortunately when you do it for a living, if you take it real seriously, it isn't as much fun as it used to be. So anyway, that's a long answer.
No, that's a good answer. If you bet sports, do you?
No.
No?
I don't bet sports.
Have you ever?
I've bet sports once or twice a year. I bet on maybe the Super Bowl and maybe an NCAA, the final game, but I don't really bet sports. But I know a lot of people that do.
This question was, if you did bet sports, which one would cost you the most money? Dwarf tossing was the best answer I ever got.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know why you said dwarf
Yeah.
tossing. You have a great history with golf.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather play golf with bad poker players or poker with bad golfers?
I would rather play poker with bad golfers because I'm going to make money off of them. I really don't bet much on the golf course, even though I'm a 6 handicap, so I'm a pretty good golfer.
Yeah.
But I have found that I have a legitimate handicap, and so if I put an honest stake in the ground, people will just lie off of that stake. And so therefore I really don't have a shot at winning money on the golf course unless I'm playing people with a legitimate established handicap. So I would rather play poker against guys that don't play golf well.
So being a golf hustler is a hell of a lot more than stroking the ball, right?
It is. Being a golf hustler is actually, and I hate to use the word dishonest, but let's say if I'm a golf hustler and I've been out practicing a whole lot, and we haven't seen each other for a while, and I've got my handicap down 3 or 4 shots, or I'm playing 3 or 4 shots better than I used to, we would obviously be playing how we used to play. Whatever that was, I wouldn't renegotiate strokes and say, hey, by the way, I've been practicing a lot, and I'm really good now. So you might not, you know, hustlers aren't going to give you that information. You're going to have to find out the hard way by losing money.
What do you think of high-stakes golf?
You know, I didn't see it. I played in the World Series of golf this year,
Yeah.
and which is a similar concept. Everybody, but it's more of a poker concept on the golf course. And what happened is everybody bought in for $10,000. You get 10,000 virtual chips. You tee off, and then you ante. Let's say on the first hole, you ante $100 out of your 10,000. And after everybody gets their shot, you go in the same order on the first hole, and then the order switches on the second hole. And then I make a bet. I can check. I can bet. You can raise me. And then I either fold or call, and if I fold, I'm done for that hole. I lost my ante.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so I won the first round. We had 5 golfers, or 4 other golfers in that round, I believe. And the second round, I went to